Okay. See, now the question is, what are strong and weak arguments? And this concept becomes very important because anyway, so what are these strong and weak arguments? Okay. Now we have already learned about our um, hold on for a second. We already know what an argument is. Okay, let's come here. We know these two components of an argument, the premise and the conclusion. The premise and the conclusion. Now, the way it is showing on the board, it's on the slide itself. You see that the argument has to be supported by the premise and the conclusion. So let's put it this way. Okay, let me write this conclusion. Okay, this conclusion here. And let me draw this diagram. Try to understand this. I'll explain what I'm doing. Okay. I'll explain what I'm doing. This drawing is childish, to say the least. Okay. Handwriting is bad and the drawing is worse. Okay. Anyway, suppose anybody who wants to make a point, or send some information across, what do they do? What do they do? They first of all make sure that they state what they have in their mind. मन में जो होता है, whatever I have to say, that I first of all state, and also make sure that, okay, good evening. Now you see, what am I trying to do here? Okay, what am I trying to do here? Well, I have made the conclusion as something that is a concrete beam. I take this example in all my classes because it makes my life easy. Okay, I take this as a concrete, okay, I take this as a concrete beam, okay, now which must be placed on very strong argument, very strong supporting pillars. Okay, so these pillars are supporting the conclusion. The concrete beam is being supported by concrete pillars, suppose. The pillars are also made of concrete. The pillars are made of concrete and the beam is also made of concrete and steel. So now when we have this kind of arrangement, you would say, sir, this conclusion is being very strongly held in place by the strong pillars. So what do we, suppose these are the premises. These are the supports, okay? So what will we call these premises? We will call them strong supporting premises. We'll say strong supporting premises. Do you understand the concept now? When I say what is a strong supporting argument? What is a strong supporting argument? What you need to understand is a conclusion that is made on very solid grounds is called a strong supporting argument, because the pillars, the premises are able to hold the conclusion being made. But sometimes an arguer, okay, might do two things. Okay, knowingly or unknowingly, he might actually make the pillars very weak. Okay, he might make it weak. Suppose instead of the concrete pillars, I had made them bamboo pillars to support a beam made of concrete. Then you know very well that the conclusion is bound to fall. So in that case, if it is made of, the pillars are made of bamboo, what would I call them? I will call them weak supporting arguments, weak supporting premises. Okay. So what are weak supporting premises? Premises which want to support the conclusion, but they don't have the strength in them. Premises which want to support the beam, okay, but they don't have the strength in them. We call them weak supporting premises. Now let's keep this analogy in mind. The bamboo pillars are weak supporting premises and the concrete pillars are the strong supporting premises. Okay, so that idea is clear till now. Okay, that idea is clear, clear guys. Okay, no issues still here. No issue still here? Okay. Because I don't want you to be asking me later on, because then you'll get confused. Ask me now. If you do not understand the concept, ask me now. Even if you have come only now, let me repeat it. Let me repeat what I have already said. Okay. What I'm saying is, an an author, what he does is he makes a claim, he makes a conclusion. Suppose he makes a solid conclusion. Suppose a conclusion made like a concrete beam, a concrete beam. He also needs to support his conclusion with very strong pillars. Now, these strong pillars are also made of concrete. Then you're sure that the support that you're giving are strong supporting arguments for the conclusion, strong supporting premises for the conclusion. But if the pillars were not made of concrete and they were made of bamboo, then they won't be able to support the concrete beam that you have placed on it. Okay, bamboo pillars will be called weak supporting premises. Now we come to the opposite side of the story. Okay, the opposite side of the story is when, suppose the the conclusion is standing on very solid grounds. The conclusion is the beam, concrete beam, and the supporting elements are also made of concrete. Okay, that is very strong supporting pillars or premises. Okay. Now, I want you to make the conclusion fall. I want you to make the conclusion fall. I want you to prove that conclusion wrong by shaking these pillars, by shaking these pillars. So what am I asking you to do? Asking you to counter argue. I'm asking you to counter argue. What I'm trying to tell you is break these premises, strong supporting premises. Then somebody comes up with an idea. He says, let's put RDX here. Let us put RDX here. So the pillars will go and the conclusion will go and everything else will also go. Okay. So let's put RDX. So the explosive will, what will it do? It will very strongly counter argue, or it will very strongly shake the pillars. It will very strongly shake the pillars, which means the conclusion is bound to fall. So this will be called the RDX kind of analogy. The RDX kind of analogy, this explosive analogy will tell you that it's a strong counter argument. A strong counter argument. A counter argument can also be called a weakening argument. Strong weakening argument. Very strongly trying to weaken it. Very strongly trying to weaken it. So strong weakening argument, call it, or strong counter argument, you can call it, or premise. Okay. If it is the explosive. But if it is not the explosive, suppose somebody goes to the gym. He believes I can punch these pillars into submission. I can punch these pillars into submission or break them. And he goes and starts banging his hand against paws against that, or say his punch against those pillars. Nothing is going to happen. Okay, but he's trying to make it fall. So what is he doing? He is trying a weak counter argument. He's trying a weak counter argument or a weak weakening argument. A weak weakening argument. Is the concept clear? Is the concept clear? Okay. If you want to shake the foundation of an argument, then it has to be a strong counter argument like explosives. It cannot be a weak counter argument like your punches. Clear? Clear? Bhargav says yes. Others? Others? Do you all understand now? Okay. Yes. Okay. So now with this, armed with this concept, now whenever the question says, suppose the person asks you, says, what will strengthen the argument? What will weaken the argument? What are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find the strong supporting argument and the strong weakening argument. We are not supposed to find the weak weakening argument or the weak supporting argument. Those are not our answers. Our answers are going to be always strong supporting arguments and strong weakening arguments. Okay, so let's come to the first question. There are many types of questions asked. The first questions are like this, where we directly give you a question. Okay, directly give you one simple statement. We start with simple questions and then move on to tougher ones. Okay, I give you a simple statement and I give you two arguments. One is the supporting argument because it says yes, and the other is the counter argument because it says no. We need to find whether this is a strong argument or this is a strong argument, or both of them are strong arguments. That is, one strongly supports itself and one strongly counters itself. So both of them are answers, or one does it and one doesn't. Okay. Now, how do we check? Again, as I taught you, it is important to see the data or the maximum that it can be drawn to. That is, you try to, what do you say, predict from the data that is given. You try to predict from the data given and try to take it to only as far as probably true or definitely true. And then try to say yes or no. That is, you just need to look at the data and what it can immediately mean. You don't add data from outside and then draw conclusions. It has to be decided on what the sentence says, but completely. The sentence, you cannot also leave some part you see and some part you don't see will also not work. Okay, so tell me which one is the answer for this. Screen is not clear, it's blurred. Sandeep, it's only because of it's only from your side, Beta. Otherwise, it's okay. It's doing fine. It's only from your side because I asked every student in the class. They say it's fine. Pravalika has already given the answer. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Ashad also says A. Ishaq says A. Well. Okay. Only A. Why are we not marking B? Why are we not marking B? That seems to be fine too. That seems to be fine too. So why are we not marking B? Why are we marking only A? Very good. Very good, Aditya. Said this is also a supporting argument. This is also a supporting argument. It's not a counter argument. Here it says no. It should have said yes. Therefore, only one is the answer. Very nice. Very good. Acceptable. Okay, there is no contradiction. It is actually supporting it. Therefore, we cannot say no. We should have said yes. Good. So only one is the answer. Now to the next. And does anybody have any problem here? If you have any question, please ask. Don't wait and don't hesitate. You have a question, ask. And even if I move to some other question, you can still ask. Say, the last one, I still have a problem. Okay? Don't take my word for it. Because let me tell you something. If you miss asking me questions here, and if I go fast, then there is no recourse. You actually will be wasting your time, or you'll actually feel you say I'm at a loss. Okay, so don't do that. Draw me back. Okay, and if you don't say anything, I'll go fast. Quite natural, right? So if keep asking questions whenever you get stuck, please ask me. Now try the next question. Should parents allow their children to keep a mobile phone? Just think about what a mobile phone allows you to do. Aditya has given the answer. Bhargav has given the answer. Yes. Why only A? Why only A? Why not both? Why not both? See, both of them are strong in their own ways. One counter argues very strongly. One counter argues very strongly. Okay, it comes up with an explosive. So this is also a very strong counter argument. This is a very strong supporting argument. So both of them are strong arguments. Both of them are strong arguments. Very good. One is a strong supporting argument. One is a strong weakening argument or a counter argument. Very nicely done. Any problem? Who said A? Let me see. Sarthak, is it okay? Pulkit. Sarthak, Pulkit, sab theek hai? समझ में आ रहा है? दोनों ही तो हो सकता है ना. If you have if the mobile phone is given to the children, okay, got it? Okay, so. Achha, what exactly is the question being asked? I'm confused. Okay, did you understand the concept of strong and weak arguments, Sarthak? Yes, sir. So let's understand this. Now, the question is very simple. It says, the question is very simple. It says, yes, means with this statement, I'm trying to support this. And with this statement, I'm trying to negate it. But both of them, if both of them are strong, see, if the second statement is strongly able to break the claim, should parents allow their children to keep the mobile phone? No, they are not supposed to, because this is the reason. Does it counter-argue fully this statement? Counter-argue fully? It doesn't, because we are talking about parents and children are usually, when I say children, they usually study. Okay, so, and then yes, it's a useful communication device. Okay, parents allowing, okay, now we cannot bring outside information, like allowing is done when children are actually young. If they are over an age, if they are earning themselves, then there is no need to allow, they'll buy it by themselves. Do you get the point? So we simply see whether the arguments given adequately support or negate the entire statement, not partially. Okay. You can also think about syllogisms. Okay, so both, okay, for this. Then to the next question. Liberalization has been highly beneficial to the Indian economy. Liberalization has been highly beneficial to the Indian economy. Both. See, in this, even I'm a little confused in the sense we don't know local players means only Indians, but all no, I don't think so. Right. नहीं ठीक है, हो गया, मेरे दिमाग में कुछ प्रॉब्लम चल रही थी, वो ठीक हो गया. Both or only one? Again, I'm asking, give you two options. One or both? Local should be Indians only. Okay. Do you think all the, do you think liberalization is going to affect everybody, all the local business? Then how do you have choices and services? Then how do you have choices and services? If it is going to completely rout the Indian system, if it is going to completely rout the Indian system, so therefore the answer is only one. The second doesn't suggest that, because you'll be counter-arguing yourself. Suppose you say first yes to the first one and no to the second one, then the problem is when you're saying yes, how does that choices and services, how do they come about? Because there is already there is some locally produced and some comes from outside. So there are a lot of choices and services. Therefore, there will be competition. Some of them will actually survive and some of them will not. The problem with this second sentence is to local players. If it had said some local players, then we could have talked about it. But even then, we are talking about Indian economy as a whole. Indian economy as a whole. So it should actually affect those. And the second one, we are not talking about the economy as such. We are talking about the benefits to the local players. The benefits to the local players. Okay. We are not talking about economy. Suppose things come from out, liberalization happens, things come from outside. Let's take for instance, and let's understand this. More goods and services are there to choose from. So most of them are buying and creating a market and the economy is going up. So local business or local players, if they face some competition, increasing competition, okay, that is not going to, increasing competition is not going to affect the Indian economy. Increasing competition for the local players, it's a problem. It's not going to affect the Indian economy. Not really. We do not even know. Okay, so therefore only one. Try the next one. Education must be made a prerequisite to run for the elections in India. What is education able to achieve? Think about that. Okay. And then tell me. Can education give both these? If it can, then it's a strong argument. Sudeshna says D. Okay. Only two, Pulkit also says. Okay. Hmm. Only, very good. Only B, very good. No, having a degree does not necessarily mean that the candidate would be an effective and efficient politician. Okay, effective and just a degree will not say that you are effective. And here in the first one, the problem is being worthy. So therefore, the second one is a good, solid education will not make you efficient, because you have to be an efficient politician and an effective politician. If you're coming into, if you're selected if you're elected as a minister, etc. Okay, therefore only two. Very good. Only two is the correct one. Now, very nice. Now to the next question. The government should impose restriction on the access of secret information by media. If it doesn't do that, what will happen? You can think about it and then answer the question. Impose restriction on the access of secret information by media. Pay attention to the grammar part also. It cannot be said that media will use this information prudently. Why aren't you choosing the first one also? You don't have to change your opinion because I'm asking a question, because I may be trying to mislead you. I may be trying to mislead you because I keep doing that because I want the correct answer from you. I want you to observe. See, it's both. Why? Because it cannot be said that the media will use this information prudently. Cannot be said. Means some of them may use it, some of them may not use it. Who is going to bell the cat? बिल्ली के गले में घंटा कौन बांधे? ऐसी प्रॉब्लम, ऐसा झंझट क्यों उठा? नहीं देंगे भैया, कुछ लोग कर भी लें. Some of them might actually use it prudently. But what about some people not using it prudently? Then that can actually cause a problem for the government and the security of the country. Okay, therefore restriction to honi chahiye. Secret information pe to restriction honi chahiye. The second one is also yes. The second one is also yes. It says secret information can be of strategic importance to the defense and security of the country. True. So both of them are correct. Both of them are strong arguments. Both of them are strong supporting arguments. Okay, because it says it cannot be said that the media will use this information prudently. So what you're saying is some of them may, but not all of them may do it. But that's a good enough cause. That's a good enough cause for restriction, because which hands, who is going to divulge that information, and in whose hands it will go, and how it will affect the country's security is not known. So both of them. So both of them. Okay. So try the next question now. Should government provide free electricity to the farmers? Free electricity itself means देयर इज अ कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व, तभी तो फ्री होता है ना। जो हर जगह पाया ही जाता है तो दाम ही नहीं है उसमें, तो फ्री क्या बोल। Only one. Very good. It's a very easy one. It's not financially viable for the government to provide free electricity to the farmers. Okay. Now, the current government came to power because it promised free electricity to farmers. Even if it were true, then we are talking about free electricity. That is the cost part of it. The cost part of it, not the promise part of it. Okay. The sentence given is the cost part of it. Should government provide free electricity to the farmers? Because it involves a cost. It costs the exchequer. उस पे क्वेश्चन है. It's not about whether the sentence is not about should the government provide free electricity to the farmers as promised in the election. तब तो क्वेश्चन बदल जाता. क्वेश्चन में आपने अधूरा ही छोड़ा है. Then I'll only take it to be the financial part of it. Okay, I don't have that information for the second one. Okay, if they had made it and if that was why they came to power, and even though the country will suffer, though they would still go with it. For that, I require more information. Otherwise, I can't take that decision. So only one. Good. Now let's change the questions a little. Okay. Now the questions will change a little. It will come to paragraph-based questions. Okay. Now read carefully. Okay. Read the question first. The two portions in boldface are related to each other in which are the following ways, and then you try to do this. Read out, please. It's blurring. Acha, is it blurring for all of you? Just hold on for a second. Is it blurring for all of you? Then I'll just change my internet connection. Maybe my connection is a little not up to the mark. But if it is okay for everybody, no issues. Then it's okay. It means then you are suffering from your side, man, because your internet connection is not good. Georgie, yes, sir. Okay. Video and audio is great. Okay. I think connection at your end is bad. Okay, let me read it out. On the basis of the Big Bang theory, scientists predicted levels of helium-3 in the universe that are 10 times greater than the levels actually observed. Okay. According to the original model, helium-3 is produced. Helium-3 is produced when low-mass stars burn up hydrogen and become red giants, as well as being produced in the Big Bang itself. Researchers have now produced a new model in which the helium-3 produced by a red giant is pushed to the star's interior and burnt up. Hence, the Big Bang theory is no longer undermined by helium-3 data. Okay. Let me move a little sideways so that we can read all of them. Support these words. That is all you need to do. Okay. Highlights. These are the words we are trying to justify. Highlights, undermines, inconsistency, challenge, or position. Those words are the first ones to go for. Is there a contradiction between what the author says and what those bold lines say? Is there a contradiction or there is a consistency? What do you think? Both of them are trying to, one part of an argument. So one is the premise on which I have drawn a conclusion. Or it is like this. That should give you the answer. No, I have not gotten any more answers, or I have been given the answers and I'm not able to see them. Only one answer. Others have not been able to answer. Take your time. Take your time. I'm in no hurry. Okay. Sarthak says, is it C, sir? Possible. Possible. D, not sure. Okay. See, let's again, let me again put this in perspective and then you decide. Okay. I'll put this in perspective, then you have to decide. I'm going to discuss it. See, the Big Bang Theory is purported to be it is actually challenged with this particular line. The first line, it says predicted levels of helium-3 in the universe that are 10 times greater than the levels actually observed. With that concept, you actually go against the Big Bang Theory, or you raise a question against Big Bang Theory. How is that possible? When the Big Bang Theory happened, how does the helium-3 gases, okay, how do they increase so much? Well, the author says, the new research says, well, it does increase, but it is pulled back into the red giant and again burnt up. Therefore, you need not necessarily say that there is a question to be raised against Big Bang Theory. Which one is the answer? Now you tell me. Aditya, Neetu, yes, the answer is C. See, that is what happens if you understand what is being said in the passage. So what is important is to answer all these questions, strengthening, weakening, or finding the argument and the premise on it, or the premise for the argument. It is very, very important to identify the conclusion in the passage and the supporting elements. It's very important. वो जानना ही पड़ेगा. See, where does it change? You see, these words become very, very important. Okay, researchers have now produced means it's a changed position, okay, in which helium-3 produced. Here it says it produces 10 times more, but here it says it's not to be seen. And then he uses that as the basis for arguing that you cannot go against the Big Bang Theory, because as you say, helium does increase, but then it is pulled back and burnt up. So just because helium increases, you can't say helium cannot increase if there is a Big Bang Theory. So the theory is wrong or something like that. Okay. He says it's not possible because the helium that you are showing as the basis for arguing against Big Bang, it is getting used up. So you cannot actually use the helium data to disprove Big Bang Theory. Okay, option C is the correct one. Now, the first highlights an observation. It's not an observation. Okay, it's not an observation. It is that tends to undermine a particular theory. The second is that theory. No, it's the opposite. The second is an observation that tends to undermine the previous theory. Okay, so it is the opposite of what is given in the passage. The first is a fact that undermines a theory. No, the first is a fact which is being undermined later on. Okay, then the first points to an inconsistency in a particular model. Of course, through T, it's not there's a false, there's a say a shortcoming in the particular model, and the second one actually goes on to explain tell us why that inconsistency is addressed. Okay, then the first is a position that the author does not accept. It's not a position, it's a fact. Okay, the second is the author's position. It's not the author's position again. It is researchers have given their data, so it's not his position. He's actually supporting it. Okay, so the author is drawing a conclusion based on the researchers, the present day research work, okay, research data. Sorry. Try the next question. Again, read the question first. Okay, it says, which of the following indicates a reason that the plan may fail to reach its objective? Okay, so one of these statements must be able to weaken the conclusion given here. One of these statements must be able to weaken the conclusion here. So what is the conclusion? That must be understood very, very well. Bhargav, because the second boldface is a conclusion and not a resolution. It's not a resolution. I'm not trying to solve it. I'm not trying to solve it. What I'm saying is, I'm simply saying that that inconsistency, you cannot counter argue because the new data suggests something else. The helium that was released, we'll go back to it. Just give me 2 seconds. Finish this, then we'll go back to the question and discuss it there. Discussing it here is not a good idea. Incentivize, the word is not complete. Understand the problem in the passage. What is the problem being sought to be resolved by taking an action? We have to say that by taking that action, you will not be able to solve the problem. See, let me explain. क्या समझ नहीं पा रहे? The problem is not in the options. The problem is not in the options. The problem is in your understanding of the passage. What is being, acha, let me put it this way. What is the problem? What is the problem? And what is the solution? The passage talks about a problem and the solution for it. So we need to say that the solution you're thinking about the problem is not going to work, is what I'm trying to say. So first of all, make sure you understand the problem and the solution suggested in the passage. And then look for one of the statements which will actually tell you that the solution is not going to work. Bhargav says 4, Pulkit says 3, okay, Ishak says 3, okay. If they are true, if the following statements are true, Sarthak says 4, Neetu says 4, absolutely. See, now when I verbalize और when I summarize the passage, तुम देखना आंसर सब लोग बदल लो. ये सबसे पहले क्या बोल रहा है भैया, the gate entryways get jammed during the main event. The entryways get jammed during the main event because all the crowd comes there. So what I'm trying to do is split up the crowd. I'm trying to split up the crowd by organizing one more soccer match so that some of the fans will come beforehand and some of them will come to the main event. So in which case, I have actually divided the crowd and I can manage the entry gates. Okay, it will not get congested. But what I have to argue is, no, what you're thinking is not going to work because, tell me the answer. Sarthak, Neetu, you're right. And some Bhargav also. Bhargav was also correct. Yes. Now tell me. देखो पैसेज क्या बोल रहा है कि भाई जब सॉकर मैच होते हैं 12 बजे के आसपास का सॉकर मैच होता है तो उस समय क्या हो जाता है कि भीड़ बहुत हो जाती है. अगर एक ही इवेंट है तो भीड़ बहुत हो जाती है, गेट वेज जाम हो जाते हैं. तो मैं बोलता हूँ भैया जाम को बचाना है तो एक काम करते हैं, 2 मैच कर देते हैं. हाँ, एक मैच में कुछ फैंस पहले से ही आ जाएंगे और कुछ बाद में आएंगे. तो क्या हो जाएगा कि क्राउड ब्रेकअप हो जाएगा, तो आप गेट्स में भीड़ नहीं लगेगी. हमें बोलना है कि नहीं, गेट्स में भीड़ लगेगी क्योंकि not able to say. Fourth is the correct answer. Fourth is the correct answer. देखना, अगर ये true हो जाए, अगर ये सच हो जाए तो fourth will give you the answer. The train line taken by most Plymouth soccer club spectators to the stadium arrives every 4 hours starting 11:30. 12 बजे आपको ये शुरू होना है, 11:30 बजे से शुरू ही होता है आपका ये, क्या बोलते हैं, 11:30 बजे आपका ट्रेन शुरू ही होता है और अराइव्स एवरी 4 आवर्स स्टार्टिंग 11:30 के बाद ही आना शुरू ही होता है. 11:30 के बाद ही पहुंचना ही शुरू होता है. तो दिक्कत क्या है बताओ, 11:30 तो 12, वो जब मैच का टाइम होगा, मेन इवेंट का टाइम होगा, उसी समय में सारी भीड़ आ जाएगी. अगर फोर्थ अगर सही रहा तो हमारा सोल्यूशन काम नहीं करेगा. आई वांटेड टू ब्रेक इट अप इनटू 2 पार्ट्स. ओके, द क्राउड इनटू 2 पार्ट्स, वो होगा ही नहीं, तो भीड़ ही बढ़ जाएगा. ठीक है, नून के टिपिकली एट नून ये 12 बजे करवा देता और 2 बजे वो हो जाता. ठीक है, और मैच स्टार्ट, सॉरी एक्चुअली मैच स्टार्ट एट नून, 12 o'clock शुरू होता है. ठीक है, और 10 बजे ही एक मैच करा देते, तो कुछ लोग 10 बजे आ जाते, कुछ लोग 12 बजे आते हैं, लेकिन 11:30 बजे तक के पहले कोई ट्रेन आना ही शुरू नहीं करता. 11:30 के पहले कोई ट्रेन आना ही शुरू नहीं करता, तो वो उसमें तो खाली ही नहीं रहेगा, वो तो खाली ही रहेगा, सेकंड वाले में ही भीड़ बढ़ जाएगी. दैट्स ऑल. Very easy. Very easy. Now let's try the first one. Some fans of the Plymouth Soccer some fans, we are not talking about everybody, some fans of the Plymouth Soccer Club must travel for several hours to attend matches of the stadium. Now it is their headache. I'm not worried about some. I'm worried about the entire crowd or most of the crowd coming at the time of the match and crowding the gates. Okay. So first one is not the answer. The second one, the children's exhibitions will likely tear up the turf, but how is it going to affect the people coming in and the jam that is going to happen? Match की quality कम हो जाएगी, अच्छी हो जाएगी, वो अलग चीज है. But how is it going to affect the crowd coming? So that is irrelevant. The second one. Third one, because of its original design, the stadium used by Plymouth Soccer Club has fewer entryways than any other stadium in the surrounding area. That is why I suggest breaking up the crowd. So it is in a way supporting it, not going against. Fourth one is correct. And the fifth one is the neighboring. Just because my neighbor has found a way, okay, it's going to work for me. We don't know. Okay, then let's try the next question. So the answer is 4. Okay, try the next question. Again, agar if you can tell me what exactly is the issue, then it would be very fine. Issue क्या है बोलने के बाद, if you start looking for answers, you will always be. भार्गव, फोर्थ, देखना जरा. इश्यू को पहले पहचानो, understand the issue, then talk about the solution. Don't try to evaluate the options without understanding the passage. It will not work. What is the goal being discussed? Sarthak, what is being sought to be achieved in the passage? Passage में क्या चीज अचीव करने की कोशिश हो रही है? कोई भी बिल भरे, reduce energy consumption. Absolutely, very good. So to reduce energy consumption, who should pay the bill? Lower the energy consumption. So who should pay the bill? Does the passage say? It says that tenants should pay, because they are the users, they should pay. Okay, but what do we have to argue? We have to argue that it's not the tenants, it must be the owners who pay, because then there will be less energy consumption. Done. So tell me which one is the answer. If the tenants pay the bills, then there will be less energy consumed. Which sentence is saying that? Absolutely. The answer is 2. बस हो गया, इतना ही तो करना था. Yeah. So first of all, break down the argument into things that you can understand really well. Catch it. Therefore, the entire focus is here. Okay. It's not in the options. Options can always be found out. Try to understand this. Once you have, see, this is what is important. We want to use less energy. Okay. And not, and ask the tenant to pay. Ask the tenant to pay. Okay. Because they are using the electricity. Okay. This assumes that tenants do not, this assumes correctly, tenants may not bother. They may actually try paying up. They'll use as much energy as they want, and they just have to pay the bills. They'll pay it. But there is no incentive for them to actually keep the electricity consumption low. Okay, but if the tenants, if the owners are supposed to do it, they can actually help by putting equipment which are energy. If they have to pay from their pockets, they get some money from them, and they are not charging them for electricity, and they have to pay from their pocket. They'll ensure that they have the equipment which are energy friendly. Okay, so second, बस और कुछ तो करना ही नहीं, बाकी सब तुरंत they'll go out of the window. You see, look at the first one. It says, "Acha, we have to go to the first question also." I'm sorry, we did not go. Okay, this one. Other nations have had success in reducing energy consumption. We are talking about our house. We don't want any information from outside, which is going to help me. Okay, and then the second one, the third one. Most rental properties are rented by younger people, and people tend to be more conscious about environmental issues like energy consumption when they are younger. Well, but whatever I use, suppose the equipment themselves are not energy, say if they are not energy conserving, then whether I feel for energy or I don't feel for energy is not going to bring down the energy consumption. Okay, then most of the country's energy consumption comes from commercial real estate, not residential real estate. You're not addressing the issue of who has to pay the bill. Fourth is completely irrelevant. And energy bills are calculated. Now, again, it's not the correct answer. So, okay, let's go back to the first question. What were you asking here? See, scientists predicted levels of helium-3 in the universe that are 10 times greater. Why is D wrong here? The first is a challenge to a classic theory. First is the classic theory. First is the classic theory. उसके बाद वाला आया तो मॉडर्न थियरी, तो बाद में आया. According to the original model. ठीक है, वो खुद ही तो क्लासिक थियरी. बल्कि सेकंड उसका ये है, the second part is actually the challenge. ठीक है. So let's come to the next one. Okay, then this is done. This is also done. Now third question now. For the first one, Sarthak, for the first one, I don't exactly remember. Yes, let me check and tell you. You keep doing this question. Yeah, C was the answer. Pulkit, first of all, put the problem in perspective. नजर के सामने problem देखो क्या है. What is the problem? Or what is the issue? Let's not put it as problem. What is the issue that needs to be answered? So you understand the issue from the passage first. Don't try to evaluate the options if you have not understood the passage well. उस पे हाथ होना चाहिए. अच्छा, ये बोल रहा है passage. तब what does the question say? The question says, best reconciles the discrepancy described above. So have you noticed the discrepancy? Discrepancy is something that is not say consistent, inconsistency. जो होना चाहिए वो नहीं हो रहा. Iron, say almost an ironical situation. Okay, I'm going to again put it in perspective. The passage, I'm going to put it in perspective. You tell me the answer. Okay. There was a certain amount of oil. There was a certain amount of oil before 10 years. After consuming, and after getting no new oil feeds, the oil still remains at the same level that it was 10 years ago. How is that possible? When you're using it and there is no new oil fields, when you're using it, how is it possible that the same amount of oil storage will be there? How is that possible? Absolutely. Very good. The answer is 5. The answer is 5th. कहीं ना कहीं आना पड़ेगा. अच्छा, why not the first one? Why not the first one? Because I'm actually consuming, you see, whether I'm getting it from outside. Over the past decade, the annual consumption of imported oil has increased more rapidly than that of domestic oil in the United States. What you're saying is actually, if I had, say, before 10 years, I had 100 liters, and over the 10 years, I've reduced consumption, but I'm still consuming. So 100 liters should come ideally at least to 99 liters. It should reduce. It should not remain the same. It should not remain the same, because though you are importing oil, you have not completely stopped using domestic oil. You're still using it. So some of it waiting for years, some part of it percent from this. First one does not answer. Actually, it supports the passage, or it goes against the passage. That is, oil reserves should be less, whereas the oil reserves are the same. Now, conservation measures have lowered the rate of growth of domestic oil consumption. The same thing. रेट कम कर दिया है, लेकिन हो तो अभी भी रहा है, तब तो घटना ही चाहिए ना. ठीक है, सेम लेवल कैसा है? Okay, third, oil exploration in the United States has slowed due to increased concern over the environmental impact of such exploration. Okay, oil exploration आपने घटा दिया, लेकिन you are not answering the question of how the oil reserves that were there, it is still there. वो तो third तो आपने problem बोला ही है. ठीक है, तब तो फिर again वो साथ में एक जैसा रहने का तो फिर question नहीं बनता. Fourth, the price of domestically produced oil has fallen substantially over the past decade. So it doesn't sell. People don't use it. Is that what you mean? No. Therefore, fourth is also not the answer. Fifth is the correct one. Very good. Very nicely done. Some of you got it very fast. Good. Next question. Okay, if fifth is the answer for this, now the next question. Now see here, read the question. It says, first of all, read the question. Every time you get a critical reasoning question, read the question first. The statements above, if true, would provide the strongest support for which one of the following hypotheses. So which means all these are supporting elements, supporting arguments, so premises, supporting arguments, and one of these is the conclusion. Okay, Ashad says, okay. Sarthak Ashad, no. Bhargav, correct. Sudeshna, no. Bhargav, your answer is correct. Sarthak, your answer is also correct. But there is no doubt, okay, Sarthak and Bhargav, doubt तो नहीं है कि सर मैंने तो तुक्का मार दिया, ऐसे मत बोलना. No doubt, very good. Very good. If there is a doubt, then you should be better ask. Good, Sarthak, very good. Was a little confusing. Of course, yes. Okay. Chalo, the answer is the fifth. Many people in the United States regard the social responsibility of big businesses as extending beyond providing consumers with fairly priced goods and services. Okay. See, fairly priced goods and services, both businesses give, whether it is big or small, it doesn't matter. Both of them give fairly priced goods and services. But people consider smaller businesses as doing more good to the society. Okay, so that is all is good. So with this data, what can we conclude? Can we conclude the first one? Let's see. Okay, most people in the United States give little thought to the value of business to society. No, that is going against it, because he says smaller businesses are supposed to be giving equally good, equally fairly priced goods and services. Smaller businesses are considered doing good to the society. So the first one is wrong. Okay, that conclusion cannot be drawn. Okay, people do care about them. If big businesses were more efficient, it would be perceived more favorably by the public generally. No, it says when they are giving equal, even then I consider the lower, also the smaller companies giving more value. Just because you are more efficient, when you are giving equally efficient things, you are not trying to bribe me. The big businesses are not trying to bribe us. Okay, so they are looking at those two things being equal. Okay, they think beyond that, the good has to be done by the more good has to be done by even keeping the same level of services. They have to still look at, these are two different aspects, they say. Okay, well, so third one is not possible. Okay, second one is not possible. To come to the third one, if small businesses were regarded as being more dynamic, it too would receive strong favorable ratings only in times of general prosperity. Just because they were more dynamic, will it change the way they are giving goods and services? It will not. Okay, if the company is more dynamic, doesn't mean they are going to give better products or services, and better products and services are unrelated to doing good in the society. So just because I've increased the level of the quality of the products I'm giving to the public, it is not going to become, it's not going to turn into what the big companies do, just because I'm more efficient. Okay. Okay. Then even if people did not regard big businesses as providing consumers with value for their money, they would still regard it as socially responsible in times of general prosperity. Can't say. क्वालिटी चले जाने के बाद क्या होगा, क्वालिटी के साथ इसका कोई रिलेशन ही नहीं. इक्वल क्वालिटी देते हुए सर्विसेज एंड गुड्स में तब भी हम छोटे बिजनेस को ये करते हैं, ठीक है, विच मीन्स कि भाई वो इससे रिलेटेड शायद नहीं है. क्या बोलते हैं, आई कांट से कि वेदर दे आर रिलेटेड टू द सर्विसेज एंड गुड्स, हाउ दे आर परसीव्ड टू गिव वैल्यू टू द सोसाइटी. तो फिफ्थ वाले में सिर्फ एक बनता है. मेनी पीपल इन द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स रिगार्ड द सोशल रिस्पांसिबिलिटी ऑफ बिग बिजनेसेस एज beyond providing consumers with fairly priced goods and services. This is the basic. इतना तो आपको देना ही पड़ेगा. उसके अलावे देना पड़ेगा। इसको आप कम करो अच्छा करो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, कम करो अच्छा करो, तो आपको ये इसके बारे में अगर बात करना है, if I'm going to talk about being socially responsible, that's a different thing than giving goods and services. That must be good, but that must also be better. Okay, beyond providing consumers with fairly, that is one of the things is one of the givens is this goods and services तो आपको बराबर ही देना पड़ेगा, उससे भी कुछ ज्यादा करना पड़ेगा. Okay, so the answer is fifth. Okay, try the next question. Okay, Ashad, you're right. You're right, Ashad. But without any doubt, very good, very good. Pulkit, right, you're correct. Bhargav, no. We want to support the claim. Bhargav, we want to support the claim. Sarthak, you're correct. No, Nitu. No, it's not. Ishak, absolutely. Very good. Okay. See, what is being sought to do? Again, passage में क्या चाहता है? When again, you can change your answer if you want to, Nitu. Okay, let me explain it, and then you see if you want to change the answer. Okay, a medical journal wants to change its format. Okay, the format to increase its readership. Okay, 62% of those who returned the questionnaire supported that change. On the basis of this outcome, the decision was made to introduce the new format. When will it go have the desired result? Which one of the following, if it were true, will make the decision correct? Okay, the first one. Of the readers who received questionnaires, 90% returned them. But just because 90% returned them, and of the 90%, who returned them, 62% of them are supporting it. How does it make very good? Sudeshna, very good. It is the answer. Absolutely, Nitu, you got it. Yes, third is the answer. मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? एक percentage को I find a similar percentage in a larger model. What I find the percentage that I find in a smaller model is similar to what I find in a larger model. तब तो ये एकदम सही. Okay. अब सोचना कि 90% of them returned, 62% of 90 मैंने 100 पेपर दिए, उसमें से 90% of them returned the questionnaires, and of which 62% are supporting it. But again, the size is small. we cannot compare it. Okay, maybe the only, but you just gave it to some people, right? You do not know what kind of people they are. Okay, maybe it went into the wrong hands. People who are in favor of keeping this viewership. Okay, so though it is okay, it may be considered, but then it will again be iffy. We do not really know. Okay, if you want to be sure, then we come to the second one. Other journals have based format changes on survey results. Just because it works for others, it's going to work for me. It's a fallacious argument. Okay, then the third one is correct. Fourth one, it was determined that the new format would be less costly than the old format. Nah, come on. That is just because it is less costly to me, and even if the readership doesn't come, makes me meaningless. Okay. Then 90% of the readers who were dissatisfied with the old format, and only 50% of the readers who like the old format returned their questionnaires, which is actually problematic. Okay. So you were dissatisfied, you wanted a change. But people who like them, of that only 50% have returned them. Now the problem is maybe that percentage more, the rest of the 50%, because we do not know out of which number. Okay, so it might actually be counterintuitive. If I do that, if I take the fifth one to be the reason, then it will be counterintuitive. Therefore, the third one, very good. Okay, very good. Now try the next question. Each of the following, if true, would support the conclusion except. First of all, understand the claim and then try to weaken it, because it says except. Pulkit, what is the claim made in the passage? उसके अगेंस्ट में जाना है. Bhargav, your answer is correct. But I hope it is without doubt. Sarthak, wrong. What is the problem? अच्छा पहले लिखो तुमको. What is the claim in the passage? Please type and tell me. What is the claim in the passage? Neetu, absolutely. Correct answer. Your answer is correct. No, sir. No. That is where the problem is. That is not the claim. They concluded that. Read it. And then tell me the answer. Himanshu, no. Read that sentence. They concluded that almost all of the decline has been achieved through something. Ashad, no. No, Pulkit. देखो, let me put it in Hindi. देखता हूं कर दूं. भाई एनर्जी कंजम्पशन कम तो हो रहा है, लेकिन दैट इज at the cost of lowering your standard of living. Absolutely, Bhargav. So, let's understand this. Okay, at the cost of reducing standard of living, we have been able to reduce energy consumption. Okay, but what I want to say is the question is except means I have to say no. My standard of living has not come down, but the energy consumption has come down. Which one is the answer? My standard of living is the same, but my energy consumption has come down. Parna, Ishaq, read the question. Himanshu, you got it right. Ishaq, read your option. Sales of portable heaters rose as families concentrated their winter activities in a limited number of rooms. In a limited number of rooms, you're actually giving up. Sudeshna, absolutely, very good. Okay, third is the correct answer. You're actually giving up your this one. Otherwise, central heating used to be there. Now, central heating ko chhod de raha hu. I'm not using central heating. What I'm doing is I'm buying portable this one. You thought of portable heaters being costly, okay? But I'm limiting myself to some rooms. I'm limiting myself to some rooms. I'm not going into every room. I'm actually lowering my standard of living. With the first option, I'm actually lowering my standard of living. But that is the question. It says the passage says you are lowering your standard of living to reduce energy costs. But we want to prove otherwise, which means I'm not lowering my standard of living. At the same time, I'm also reducing energy bills. Okay, third one is the correct. Absolutely, very good, very good. Some of you, what I see, what I'm able to understand from these classes is, it's not as if you don't understand passages. The only problem is you are more interested in the options rather than trying to deconstruct the passage. That is where we started the entire show, if you remember. I started teaching you deconstruction of a passage. Now, that is very important. Once you do that, your answer is already there in the mind. You know what you're looking for. Okay. Suppose I read that passage well, then these two sentences would have been, you would have very clearly understood. They concluded that almost all of the decline has been achieved through reduced standards of living. Okay, and how they spend their time. इसके उल्टा बोलना है. Okay, दोनों में कमी आई नहीं, दोनों वैसे ही है या बेहतर हुआ है, लेकिन एनर्जी कंजम्पशन नीचे आया. बस इतना ही तो बोलना है. तो ढूंढ दोगे तो हो जाएगा. It will come out very fast. So make sure that you are able to deconstruct the passage well and understand the question well. The options come at the end. Okay, because once you already have I say almost 75% of the answer made in your mind, you just have to match it with what is running in your mind. You'll be all right. Okay, chalo, that's all for today. Okay. Good night. Enjoy yourselves. But then again, what I see is I'm so happy that you all stay in the class, don't run away. Still, after having worked, doing work for the entire day, you sit through means you want to do well, which is a very nice thing. That's a very nice thing. You will do well there. Okay, bye bye. Good night. Thank you.